Welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar, where we get to sit down and talk with interesting professional guitar players and related music industry experts. If you love playing guitar, stick around. You're in the right place. Hey, this is Craig Garber. You know me as host of the Everyone Loves Guitar podcast, but when I'm not interviewing world-class guitar players, I'm busy helping clients with their marketing. In fact, since March of 2000, I've helped over 300 clients in 108 different industries all over the world sell everything from $20 books to $5,000 seminar seats and everything in between. I even authored a book about my experience called How to Make Maximum Money with Minimum Customers. Now, if you own or operate a business, ask yourself the following marketing-related questions and be honest with your answers. Are you generating fresh new qualified leads on a daily basis? Is your website generating enough sales? And if not, do you know why? Is your advertising effective? Is it predictably and reliably making you several multiples of what you're spending on it? And lastly, are you consistently communicating with your email list? Or do you have an email list of prospects and customers, but you have no idea what to say to them, how often to say it, or how to make money with this list? If you need solutions for these marketing problems, then you need to book a one-on-one marketing strategy session with me. After this strategy session, you'll know how to speak to and make money with your email list, how to use your website to attract customers and clients who are ready to buy from you now, and how to sell your goods and services for top dollar and at much higher profit margins than your competition. Listen, stop hoping things will get better on their own. Hope is not a very good business strategy. Instead, book a marketing strategy session with me by going to everyonelovesguitar.com/marketing and find out if your business meets the 5 criteria you need to qualify for this service. Again, that's everyonelovesguitar.com/marketing. Thanks for listening. Now let's get on with the show. Hey everybody, this is Craig Garber from Everyone Loves Guitar, and right now, while this is fresh on your mind and before anything else comes up, head on over to everyonelovesguitar.com and sign up to get behind-the-scenes information about upcoming guests and early access to a number of great programs going to be rolling out really soon. Today we have a really cool and very interesting guest, and really successful for the point in time in her career. We're with Destiny Petrel. She was born in New York. She's a guitarist, songwriter, and producer. She's just fresh off playing the Today Show. From her early childhood, she started showing a major interest in music. She grew up in a musical family and began taking piano lessons at age 6 and then studying clarinet throughout grade school. At age 12, she picked up her dad's acoustic guitar, and that was the beginning. Both of her parents were music pastors, and she began playing guitar at her local gospel church, and that's where she feels she developed her chops and her feel. Working alongside some of the most talented players, playing guitar and singing for mega churches like the Potter House, City Church, and Dream Center, that's Los Angeles Temple, correct? Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay. Throughout her career, she's also worked with pop artists like Aaron Carter, Jake Miller, Grace Vanderwall, and has toured and played over 200 shows, performing from bars and clubs to amphitheaters and arenas around the world. In her pop rock band Petrel, which is made up of her and her 2 sisters, Jess and Becca Petrel, she's toured across America multiple times, opening for artists like Aaron Carter and the Kids Bop Tour. Aside from performing, she's also worked in the studios in session work alongside producers such as Brian, the composer Nelson from Trey Songz and Akon, Rockstar from Chris Brown, Usher, and Jennifer Lopez, and Brian Howes, who works with Girls Like Boys, Nickelback, and Daughtry. Destiny's also built a great following on Instagram, and she's teamed up with companies like Fender, Boss & Roland, Ernie Ball, and Angelico. Those are some pretty powerhouse endorsements.
Yeah.
For somebody young in their career. Good for you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
What's the mojo? What's the secret?
I mean, I honestly can't say if there's a secret or not. It's a weird thing. It's really from touring all these years, I think. Yeah, it was from touring, and then it was from social media too, from Instagram world. They were friends of friends, and then it really happens differently. It's a weird thing. We kind of connect differently on every one of them.
That's cool.
With every one of them.
Well, I think in general right now, women playing guitars is kind of a hot topic, trending as well, because, supposedly guitar industry is dying and blah, 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 but the amount of women playing guitar is incrementally increasing.
Yeah, that's what's really awesome. I love female guitarists and female musicians in general. We kind of, we went through a little bit of stuff, over the years.
Sure.
It's been hard being a female musician, and it's really cool to see so many females picking up instruments. it's so inspiring.
What's been tough? You said it's been hard. How is it how has it been rougher for you? Like, have you felt like definitely you're not getting an opportunity as much as easily as you would if you were a guy, or?
Yeah, I think so. I think some guys, not all of them, of course, there were some guys that would view me differently because I was a female. As a kid too, especially, I think it was me being a young girl too, like picking up a guitar. It was just like, why are you playing guitar?
Right,
like,
right.
You can play violin. I mean, I've had a guy actually say that to me.
Really?
Yeah, like, why are you playing guitar? Why don't you go play piano? Or like something weird. It didn't really even make sense. It's kind of funny.
Do you have a stock answer for that? Like some sarcastic,
Yeah, I would always have a sarcastic comeback because I was a little spunky. I'm a little bit of I don't know, I think that's the New York in me. It's kind of just like, I don't really, it doesn't really matter.
No, I think I agree with you. Yeah. You should have some smart ass answer. I mean, it's like, doesn't even make sense to say that. I'm
like, oh yeah, well, I want to hear you play, play me something, or something like that. And they start laughing, it's kind of it's interesting. Even now, you kind of get that, but that just comes with it,
Well, good that you could take it in stride. There's always, I think, whether you're a guy or a girl, you're always going to have crap. You probably have a little more of it, so you just got to add it on to the pile of stuff that you got to deal with, I think.
Yeah, I think it's just a musician thing. Everyone's competitive, and so it kind of comes with it. Well, that's really what it is.
Well, you're definitely not letting it get you down, which is good.
Yeah, you really can't. You really can't.
So let's talk about, what are you working on now that you're most excited about? Because you got a number of things you're juggling.
Wow. There's not one thing I can choose. I mean, it's been a really awesome year for me. And, obviously there's more things coming. I'm excited for new music from me that I'm probably going to be releasing next year, and new music from my sisters and I in the new year too.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I'm so stoked to be able to finally release these songs that we've collectively been working on for about 2 years. We chose the songs that we really wanted to get finished with, mixed and mastered and all that, finishing it up. And it's going to be four or five songs that we're going to be releasing next year.
So everything's been recorded. It's just being finished, mastered, and engineered?
Yeah.
That's great. Where'd you record these at?
We actually, this is a crazy story. We snuck into Universal Publishing recording studios in LA. And our friend of ours, he was saying he had extra hours at the studios. And so what we said was, all right, what are you doing with the extra hours? And he's like, you know what? You guys can just come into the studio. Like, I'll leave around 11 p.m. and you guys just take the rest of the hours, in the early mornings. So we did that. We actually, we were probably up for like, I think 48 hours, no joke, one week that we went. And we banged them out. I mean, we recorded on like the most amazing equipment ever too, which was awesome. The mic there was a U87, which I love. And it was a great experience. It was awesome being able to do that with them.
And presumably they had an engineer and a producer in there, no?
No, there wasn't. We actually, I engineered it myself and produced it all myself.
Wait a minute. So how did you had experience like getting behind a board and recording and all that stuff?
Yes. Yeah. Wow. Dude, my God, this is crazy. But what was insane was I started producing about a year before recording with my sisters, before producing and recording with them. Because what was happening was, we would get in with writers and producers, and we weren't, the top priority because they were working with other artists, and, it makes sense. And so instead of waiting because we would wait around. There would be months and months that we wouldn't be working with those certain people. So I'm like, you know what? Instead of unfinished songs, let's just do it ourselves. So I actually took it upon myself to learn Logic X. I started out in GarageBand, then moved to Logic X, which was super similar, just more advanced, like tools and all of that. And yeah, and so I told my sisters about like a few months in of learning, I was like, you know what? Let's just start producing ourselves. Like, we'll just start building our own songs and whatever. And that's when I started asking my friends for help, questions, and I was in my room for weeks, like had not left my room for weeks because I was studying constantly on how to edit and how to program and how, like, it was incredible the amount of time my sisters and I took. I asked my sister, because she's a keyboardist, and with all MIDI questions and just setting things up with all of that, it was insane. It was absolutely insane, and that's why I was super excited to work in Universal Publishing myself, because I was like, oh my God, this is a studio all to ourselves. Like, we're open to doing anything, working with anything we want in here. So yeah, so that's really how it began with this project, this latest EP that we worked on.
And who's done the mastering and the mixing? Have you done all?
So I did rough mixing. Yeah. And then the mastering I actually sent to my friend, because when you're producing something, it's like you're listening to it over and over and over again. It's really great to have fresh ears.
Totally.
So I sent it off to my friend. He's like, wow, this is great. I'll do this for you. Yeah, let's do this. And so he actually mastered for us, mixed and mastered. Okay.
Wow.
Cleaned it up, which is because I needed someone to master it. But it was like one of the best experiences ever, because we were just so free.
And no one ever like thought to say, hey, what are you guys doing here? I mean,
no one, not one person. It was amazing.
So, okay. So, I mean, I don't know how this works, but so
and it's
like
a state-of-the-art studio.
Yeah. I would
absolutely beautiful studio.
So this comes out now, and can they go back and say, hey, you recorded in our studio, you owe us X or something?
I don't know. I'm not sure how that works. I really don't think they actually know that we weren't supposed to be there. That's what was funny.
That is actually hilarious.
Passing by the door, they would look in the doorway and be like, why are there girls? Because it was just the three of us. And it's really funny when you're looking into a room with just three girls in a studio. You're like, what is going on? Because one's at a desk actually engineering. The other one is in there playing keys. And like, it was just really funny. Or, we're all singing. It's crazy. We're running back and forth to record and then to sing. And it was insane. And so they would stick their heads in and be like, well, hey, how you doing? I'm so-and-so, and just introduce themselves, hang out for a bit. No questions asked. Like, it was really funny.
You do realize people are going to find this hard to believe, though, right? Because
yeah.
I mean, that's what,
oh yeah.
I mean, on like every level, from like security down to like, no, it makes no sense at all.
Yeah, it makes no sense. There were actually security. There was two men that were working security that were a little weirded out, because we would stay there till 5 a.m. and they would actually be like, okay, we're closing up. Is there anyone else with you? Like
where's your mom?
Yeah, the guy actually asked us a few times that week that same question. He's like, so is there any others meeting you here? Or like, very curious.
Yeah.
Because I think he was questioning, like, what are these girls doing here? But kind of let it go, though.
That is really, wow.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Well, yeah, it's amazing to the point of, honestly, it's like, it's hard to believe that something like that even happens. I don't even know. I mean, people spend all kinds of money to get in a studio, and it's booked and they can't get in. And so, wow.
Yeah, that's why I'm so thankful for our friend to do that. Because he's like, I can get you in. I mean, we were really sneaking in. That's what was crazy. Like, I'm like, what time are you going to get there? What time are you going to unlock the doors for us? Like, it was pretty wild.
You did other studio work, like with a lot of these, the producers we talked at, Brian Nelson and Rockstar. How did you get those gigs? How did those gigs come about?
Most of them, actually, this is crazy. A couple of those guys, separately, obviously, separate times, they were at a show of mine. And at the end of the show, they're like, hey, I really love your style. And are you a songwriter as well? Like, did you songwrite these songs? Were these all originals and all that? And with my sisters and I, we write our own songs, and we're like, yeah, that's what we do. Yeah. And so it really just happened there. They would invite us over to their studio, and they're like, hey, there's this girl I would love for you to meet, songwriter, or there's a producer I would love for you to meet, and just come by the studio and collab with us and just hang out. And honestly, that's really how a lot of these projects happen. So
you got who is booking your show? Like, how do you book your shows for the three of you guys?
I've booked my own shows. Yeah, we really book our own shows.
Where, like, typical, like, venues would you play at? Are these all church venues,
like
or
Troubadour? No, like around LA and around in New York, in and around New York City. Like the first few years, we really did a lot of. We performed a lot in New York City, in Greenwich Village, and
whereabouts?
Yeah, so Bitter End was definitely a place where we played a lot. Which Bitter End it's just, there's so much history.
Yeah, I've been there many times.
Yeah, it's amazing. It really is. It's an incredible place because it's such a small, intimate club. And I think that's what's so special about it, is that it still has that feel to it, where it's just everyone's in a small room together listening to your music. And yeah, so Bitter End was a place, and there's Lion's Den. Lion's Den was cool.
Is that the pub right, kind of like next door?
Yeah, it's close by. Yeah.
I know that.
There's a lot of other places, like, oh my God, Arlene's Grocery. There's so many different clubs in New York City. It's insane. And I have to say, it was probably the most fun times for me because I was underage and I had X's on my hand. Yeah, like playing guitar in a club in New York City, and you're a kid.
Yeah.
You're like a young teenager. It's kind of a dream come true. Like you're like, oh, wow, this is cool. Like I'm actually doing what I love right now in New York City. And who's able to do that?
Are your sisters older or younger than you?
I'm the youngest. Okay. So I have two older sisters.
Okay, that is starting to make sense now. I thought I had this vision that like you were the oldest and the other ones were like, and I'm like trying to envision this in like at the bitter end, and I was like, whoa, now this whole thing is making a lot more sense. Okay. Yeah. When you did some of these sessions, what did you find challenging or most challenging about the session work?
I think, so I feel like being creative, it's a pretty tough thing when you're under time restraint.
Sure. And
so I felt, because you feel pressured because you're like, I need these ideas to flow. I need, you feel under pressure, like so under pressure because everyone's kind of looking at you like, does anybody have any ideas? Like what?
You're supposed to have the answer.
Yeah, you're supposed to feed off of each other. And I feel like that, like what I do is I actually leave the room for a few minutes it's almost like a refresher for me, just to refresh my mind and kind of, I don't know, it's perspective too. It's like, okay, this is what I'm doing right now. This is cool. Like relax. It's not so serious. Kind of like that thing. Or, sometimes you kind of have to get out of that headspace that you're in too, to just regroup. And so I try and do that, just to stay on the ball and kind of find a flow, because once you find that flow, you're good. Like it just feels right. You kind of let that music just take you somewhere.
It's a high pressure. It is a very high pressure slot. I've interviewed like probably 50, A-list studio guys in Nashville, and I've been to a studio and I've watched them work. It's very tough.
It really is. It's difficult when you kind of don't know what you're expecting too, because every experience is completely different. Because every person is different, so you're feeding off of their energy, and so I think that's it takes probably a couple of days to kind of be like, all right, so this is how we can work and, figure out how things are going to flow.
And by that time, the session's over.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, I know.
It's like by that time where you finally feel comfortable with the person and vulnerable, which is the most difficult thing to do ever, is being vulnerable. I mean, let's be real. Yeah, you're telling each other personal stories, experiences. I mean, songwriting especially, you're so vulnerable. You really get to know someone. And by the time you're really like, oh, wow, I can actually hang out. We can hang out and talk and get to know someone. The session's over. Like, you're like,
right.
Oh, okay, guys, this is great,
Just to listen to what they do in Nashville. They do 5 songs in 3 hours.
Right. I
that's
believe
it.
that.
And they're out. 5 songs, 3 hours.
Amazing.
Done. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's amazing.
I talked to you about your sponsorships before. What is your like specific responsibilities as far as being a brand ambassador for some of these companies like Fender and Ernie Ball, D'Angelico? Do you have certain things you have to do, or do you have to be seen with their product in your hand? How does that work? If you're comfortable sharing that. If not, totally
right.
Cool.
No, right. I mean, I just make sure I share my love for their products, like their guitars, their pedals. And by that, I mean, obviously posting about it, talking about it, because, that's really, it's incredible. I mean, who gets to say that, So just sharing it with as many people as possible.
Okay. So if you get a new pedal, you're demoing it online and you're talking about it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It makes total sense. Whereabouts from New York are you originally?
I'm from Long Island.
Whereabouts?
Yeah, so I'm right in the middle of the island, which is Deer Park.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a great location though, because I can go to the city, I can go to the end, which is Montauk, and you get the beaches, and it's pretty great. Except now that I live in LA. I've been living there for about 4 years, and every time I come back during the winter, I'm like, I'm so happy I'm not here for winter.
Yeah, it's kind of cold.
I don't miss the winters here. It's crazy. But yet I love snow. If it snows for, I'm the happiest person ever. But I'm like, okay, now that the snow fell, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, it's nice to watch the snow, but when it's like 3 degrees below and the wind chill factor of -20, it's not fun.
Yeah, it's when the cold hits your face and you're like, oh my gosh, that was painful. It's actually painful. Yeah, that's when I was like, Mom and Dad, I don't know how you guys are still here. You guys should move south somewhere. That's what I tell them.
Oh, your folks are still there, and you and your sisters moved out to LA.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So
what prompted that? Just career, the music biz?
Yeah, it was really music that moved us there. I mean, so many of our friends from New York and in the business moved to LA. So we were kind of getting the itch, and finally decided, let's just go out. Let's go to LA, which I felt bad about because, I felt bad for my parents because it was an empty nest. Just all 3 of us.
They may be clapping though.
Yeah. I mean, they're happy that they get to visit somewhere warm too.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
it's really
but having 3 at once leave is you're kind of like happy as they go, but
kids.
Yeah, but 3 at once is tough. Yeah. I'm sure. You said both of your parents are music pastors. What was it like growing up in that environment for you?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I mean, so many people ask me about that because it's such a different.
Yeah.
It's just so different from the normal, whatever normal is,
Yes, whatever normal is. I like that.
Right? It's true, though. Like, for me, it was normal growing up that way because I was growing up that way,
Right.
I didn't realize it until
Well, it's uncommon.
Like
it's not
later
that, it's
that I was like, oh, that was a little different the way I grew up. You know, it was a lot different actually than most of how they grew up. You know, what I love about my parents is that I look up to the fact that they're both extremely selfless, and so forgiving. And I learned that from growing up the way I grew up, you know, because you're constantly with people, you know, that's what their work is helping people. And so there's a lot of pressure with being a PK is what we like to call it. That's what we call it.
What's a PK? Pastor's kid?
Yeah.
Hey, your dog. What's
PKs.
Is a mailman there or something? Your dog is.
Yeah, it is. It is a mailman. How'd you know that?
Because I hear the dog going nuts.
He's crazy. Yeah, he's absolutely crazy. He actually jumps on top of the couch.
Nice.
And barks to the window. I think one time he actually tried jumping through the window, which was pretty funny. But yeah, so hopefully that's not happening right now because I think my parents, because that's my parents' dog right now.
There you go.
My parents would be so mad at me if something happened to him. It's hilarious.
I'm sure you're good.
But yeah, I mean, with growing up that way, I feel like, you know, my sisters, they were my best friends, and we went through interesting, you know, stuff because it's, you know, you're pressured being a PK. A lot of eyes are on you about, you know, on what you do and what you say. And so I think my parents did a really great job at keeping us normal, level-headed, because it was really how they, you know, they were in just the way they were as people, toward people. And they kind of set a great example for me and both my sisters. And so, yeah, I think it's so difficult to like, pinpoint exactly what it was like, because to me it was normal, you know, growing up playing in church and just growing up with them, working with, being with people constantly. And so it's really hard to, you know, it was just normal for me, you know.
Did you mentioned that there was more pressure on you? Is that in what sense?
I feel like with being, because I was more known because of being the pastor's kid, because my dad would always tell stories of us, you know, use that as an example in some of his messages and all that. And so people tend to believe that they know you a little bit better than, right, you know. And so, you know, there were some things that people would say and all of that stuff. Then as a kid, it's kind of like, why is this person telling me what to do? Or why is this person even, you know, like, yeah, you're like looking at them like, really? Who, what? You know, like that type of thing. But, you know, like I said before, my parents really did a good job at explaining things and how things work. And people are people at the end of the day. And, you know, like they're great. I mean, I'm so blessed to have like a great family, and my sisters too as well.
So things like normal kids whose parents weren't pastors would do like smoking cigarettes and smoking weed. If you guys wanted to do that, you had to be extra on the down low, because there was like a social responsibility on your shoulders. In addition, you'd be letting down. You'd be in the eye of the storm. It's not just you. You know, your parents wouldn't catch you, but then other people would like spread like wildfire. Like, oh, the Petrel kids are smoking pot.
Yeah, I feel like people would talk for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that type of thing. And what was funny was my parents are like, we've always had an open, honest relationship, like able to talk to them about anything. Mm-hmm. So the pressure wasn't really coming from them. It was coming from the other people, which is just their place in social. Social structure. Which is normal, I think, you know, in life. That's, you know, people are people, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was an interesting way of growing up, and you know, that was the normal for me. It was Yeah.
Well, thank God
What
my
was cool about
parents
it
weren't
was,
pastors.
yeah, that's funny. But yeah, I mean, having them as music pastors too, that was the coolest thing ever,
Yeah.
because I learned so much from playing, next to like these guys who can play like they're beasts. The way they play, they're incredible.
When did you start playing music?
I started playing guitar. I started playing piano at 6 years old. And I told my mom, I was like, Mom, gosh, I hate piano. Like, I was like, please don't make me do it. Don't make me take any more lessons. So after about a year or two, I stopped piano and I started playing clarinet in school.
Oh, much better.
Yeah, right? I started playing band, in band. I loved it. And then that led to guitar. I really wanted to play guitar. Like, I was set on it. And my dad had an acoustic guitar laying around the house, and I picked it up during, like, I had a sick week, just being sick in bed. And I remember the whole week I took that time to just play guitar.
Very
like, my
cool.
mom was like, are you really sick, or what's going on? Because I was playing guitar like the whole entire day. Yeah, figuring out voicings and all of it. It was really funny. But yeah, that's what my love grew for it, for sure.
And after that, did they allow you to stop taking clarinet lessons?
No.
No.
I never took clarinet lessons. It was just a part of school and band.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so I was ready for everything guitar related, though.
So because both your parents were music pastors, was growing up and becoming a musician, or at least playing music so often, again, the norm? It was just like an assumed thing that, you'd all do?
I think so, yeah. I mean, the way there wasn't a time where music wasn't, like, where I actually don't remember music not being a part of my life. Because it was at such a young age that it was just the normal. I mean, there was music constantly playing in my home growing up. My dad plays multiple instruments, so there's always something set up, like a drum kit or a piano in the house, or guitar laying around. There was always something. So we would play music in the house all the time. So that was just how I grew up. It really wasn't. It was kind of funny though, because until I came to an age of like wanting to get into sports, which is around middle school, I said to my mom, I was like, Mom, I really want to play basketball, because a lot of my friends were playing basketball. So she's like, okay, well, how about this? Music lessons first, and then basketball. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, it was actually like a rule to be in some sort of music, which I loved.
Yeah.
Anyway, like, I didn't mind it, but it was just funny how my mom was like, oh, let's make sure, you're getting using that. Because
your music education was
something that she's
really
like,
important.
because in her head, it was like something that I loved so much. It's like, why not help you grow in it? So yeah, so I'm thankful for that. I mean, the piano lessons were brutal though. I remember that. I remember, like, because I was a little rebel child, to where I would just look at him and be like, so this is how you do it? I was a little like smart. Yeah, because I really didn't want to learn piano.
If you're not happy, people don't do things when they're not happy doing them. They don't do them well. It's just the reality of it.
Sure.
Even if you're being forced, it doesn't make you do it better. It just makes you more miserable, actually.
Yeah.
So, well, at least you found guitar, though.
Yeah, definitely.
We talked earlier, you have a pretty large following on social media, and I was curious, what are the positives and negatives that go along with that, and what are your positives and negatives, likes and dislikes, and also, are there any responsibilities that come with that, beyond, your responsibilities to your sponsors?
Right. Yeah, social media has changed everything, I think. It's the best way to connect with people, so that's definitely the positive for sure. I love connecting with everyone from around the world through social media. I mean, that's it's pretty amazing that you can be talking to someone from across the whole planet. I mean, it's insane to me. It's so cool. And I've met so many people through Instagram. Like even just recently, like some of my closest friends now, I've met through social media. I love that. It's amazing. It really is incredible. It's so cool.
So when you say close, are these people that you physically have wound up connecting with, or they're okay? So they're, because I always like me being your parents' age, right? I'm always wondering, when you make a connection on social media, can you have that friendship with somebody even though they're physically not there?
Well, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
Until it happens, until you actually meet the person in person, you're like, oh, wow, this is a normal human being. Like, this is not just...
Well, you don't know. That's the problem, because, there aren't... Yeah, there's not... You don't get online, you don't get the quirks.
Right. That's true, yeah. And it's hard to get someone's personality, too, fully.
Yeah.
When you're writing each other back and forth, or... It's really interesting. It's very weird. So yeah, so once you meet them in person, like for an example, there's a friend of mine who's from New Zealand who's on Instagram, and we met through there, and she's a guitarist as well, and she's a singer. And so she was going to be in New York the same time I was going to be in New York. And she actually asked me, because she knows I'm from New York, so she knows I fly back often, for work too, especially. There's a lot of work in New York too. So she's like, hey, are you going to be in New York this week? So I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, I am. Like, what's happening? What's up? She's like, I'm playing a pop-up show in New York City. I would love for you to come. I'm like, yeah, I would love to meet you. And she's like, yeah, of course. Like, we're actually going to hang out. And what was funny was when I got there, there was multiple Instagram people. This is insane. Literally Instagram people that I know, that I'm friends with through Instagram, that were there too. So it was like this whole Insta crew.
Was it weird?
And we all hung out, and we're like, oh my gosh, we're real people, and we're actually talking. Like, now I know what your voice sounds like. Like, it was really funny. It was really cool.
Was it weird at all? Only weird in the sense that, like, you don't like, that's not been the, weird, like, in the sense that it's not norm. That's how you normally don't connect with people. Like, yeah, like if all of a sudden you started eating cereal out of, I don't know, a Dixie cup or something, weird in that way. Like, that's not how we do it.
Oh, it's so weird. It's extremely weird. It's weird for the first, like, 30 minutes you're with the person, because you're like, is this really happening? This is very strange that the person is standing in front of you.
Right.
It's really, really weird. And plus, like I said before, it's really hard to kind of get the person's personality.
Totally.
Unless you're in person with them, their sarcasm, it's hard to read that when you're just talking to each other through text or, DMs, whatever, however it was. And so, yeah, it's a lot of fun though. Like, that excites me because I love meeting new people.
Sure. And
so hearing their story, getting to know them as people, it's the best thing ever. It was the best thing ever. We had so much fun. And that was when, we just kept meeting each other. Like, everyone was like, now when we go out to LA, let's hang out. And then you meet more people that way. Like, it's very interesting. It's like this whole little Instagram family.
For somebody starting out doing what you're doing, a young guitarist, male or female, what would you advise them to do in today's day and age to move forward? And what would you advise them to avoid doing?
Yeah, that's good. I would say set goals. Like, what I do is I set daily goals for myself. And that's, in guitar world, like, 'cause that's the world I'm in. So I practice every single day. I really try and practice every day.
How long do you
it's harder on the road when you're on the road, because you're moving constantly. So that's the most difficult about being on the road. But when, for someone who's starting out, find time to sit down and play. I start out with scales. I try and actually do this I try and practice for about an hour or two a day. And it's the same practice, like, every single day, except different songs or whatever. So what I do is every 15 minutes, I change up what I'm doing so that my mind feels fresh. I don't get bored because I tend to get bored easily. And it keeps me up to par, which is really good.
Sure.
And so I start out with a new scale, different key every single time, a lick from that scale. And I practice that over and over again with the metronome because being in time is very important. And then I usually find a song that I'm liking at the moment, and I figure it out by ear because I like working, because that's really how I learned too at such a young age. I was really playing by ear most of the time. It was that. And so just to keep my mind fresh and my ear fresh, I tend to do that. I learn a new song. And that's really my daily routine with practicing. As far as, getting into music business, music world, it's really connecting with people. I mean, that's really what it is. It's relationships. And building relationships. Like, it takes work,
What do you mean by that?
It takes time and work to build friendships and relationships with people. Because I was so young when I started, I already had friendships from the start because of what my dad was, my dad was in music before, even being married. So his younger years were him touring and all of that stuff. So when I first started out, I was already meeting his friends.
Okay.
In the music world, which did help. But for me, being in LA, once I moved to LA, it was kind of like starting over. Because, you have a few of your friends from New York, but meeting new people is important because it's a new city and, friendships are important. So what I did was I went out to shows. I met people that way. I jammed with a lot of my friends.
So when you say you met people,
friends would introduce you to friends. Yeah, they would invite you to the studio to hang out. Go hang out. It's a great way to learn too. I mean, you're constantly learning when you're around people that are doing the same work as you. So I would say that. I would definitely say, take the time to hang out with your friends.
So you'd go to shows and would you wait till the show's over and then go talk to the artist playing and say, hey, I like your show.
Yeah.
I play guitar, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, sometimes I would do that. Sometimes it depended on if I was connected to the person's music or, I mean, I'm definitely a feelings person. So I kind of if I really felt something, strongly, I do it. And so, connecting with someone is really important to me. I think that's important. You don't want to be a crazy person, because there are a lot of crazies.
Yeah.
That are just hey, what's your name? What do you do? That's the first question is they ask and what do you do? That's an LA thing too. It drives me crazy. But no, going to shows, I just hang out. It's just it's kind of just a hangout thing. Most of the time it was through friendships that would be oh yeah, I'm going to my friend's show. Just hang out. I'm yeah, for sure. And it happens naturally.
So you never showed up and said, hey, I just filmed your show. I follow you on Instagram.
I mean, that is a great pickup line, I think. Because I think some guys actually try and use that as I don't know, it's a really weird thing. It's very strange. It's oh yeah, you're really inspiring. I've watched your videos and I'm thank you so much. And then they're so what are you doing later? What are you doing? I'm wow, was that the pickup line? That was, oh, that's so weird. Yeah, it was really funny. Or of course, my name is used as a pickup line all the time. I mean, let's be real. It doesn't sound like it's not a real name. It's a word. So people tend to use that a lot too.
Oh, it's our destiny. Blah,
blah, blah. Yeah. Yeah, it's really funny.
Oh my God, that's really bad.
Your My Density is probably the most used Back to the Future reference.
Oh my God.
It was amazing.
So like you've definitely made it a point to work hard, being out there and networking and just to get involved in the scene. And I think it's important to point
Social media is important as well too. I mean, Instagram has really it's helped me in a lot of ways too. With Jake Miller. Yeah, with Jake Miller, for example, I liked a song of his and I posted up a video of me playing it. And he actually reached out to me. He was like, "Hey, I love your style. I would love to work with you on something, on a project." So I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah, I would love to. What's the project on? And he was like, it's an acoustic album, and I really think that you would be perfect for it. So I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And that was actually really funny because that was the first time working with an artist that reached out to me personally like that.
Right.
Through Instagram.
It must have been surreal.
Through Instagram. Yeah, it was very, very strange.
Yeah.
It was really funny. Like, I'm like, wait, is that really him? Or like, yeah, it was really funny.
But it's happened multiple times now, so it's just that's a regular connection, obviously, that people make.
Yeah, it's been really cool. That's and what's cool too is that because of social media, I think people they kind of, it's a weird thing because you realize your friends are friends with people that you didn't think they're friends, and you're connected in like a weird way. Like it's a very strange thing. And yeah, and like one of the connections where I was shocked was like this really well-known guitarist was really close to a friend of mine that I'm like super close to as well. And my name was kind of brought up and he's like, you know what? I actually follow her on Instagram. And I was like, wait, he said what? Like, I remember my friend, I'm like, wait, what? Like, I started laughing. I was like, are you kidding me right now? He's like, no, dude, like he actually follows you on Instagram. Like he found one of your videos. And I was like, what? That's the weirdest thing ever. Like it was the funniest thing. Yeah. And so we actually met in person like a few weeks after that at my friend's birthday, which was so weird. Because I'm like, what are the chances of that now that it was really strange.
Yeah, but it's cool that he had followed you because, it gives you a little bit of, not leverage, but positioning, I guess is probably a better word. Like sometimes I'll get referred to guitar players, and I'll speak to them and they're like, yeah, I listened to your show, and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And, it's like, yeah. So I understand. Yeah. Right. I understand. And everybody's just a person, it's not a big deal.
At the end of the day, yeah. Everyone.
We all, watch the same shows, listen to the same things, have the same bullshit to put up with. And, it's
so true.
Hey, let's talk gear for a few minutes. What is let's talk electric specifically. What's your go-to guitar now? And if you have what other two guitars would round out your top three?
Wow. Okay. So right now, I love my Strat. It's an American Pro Fender Strat, and I absolutely love the tone. Because I just recently got that Strat a few months ago. It was in July, and I'm in love with it because I'm used to playing an LP, a Gibson Les Paul, which is a completely different style guitar. And the tone is it's completely different too. And so when I started playing that Strat, man, I fell in love with it. I'm obsessed with it. I haven't put it down since.
Yeah, I would think a Strat's an easier guitar to play for a female than a Les Paul, just the way it's shaped and it's lighter and yeah.
Well, the Gibson that I had, because I've had that Gibson Les Paul Goddess. It's and the Goddess are lighter.
Okay.
Than the average Les Paul, which
I never heard of that. The Gibson
amazing.
Les Paul Goddess.
Yeah. And I got that one in 2008. That's my favorite guitar because I have so many great memories with it because I've traveled most of my life with that guitar. And plus it was the first tour I've ever been on playing,
is that a regular Les Paul, just lighter or smaller or?
Yeah, so the body's actually smaller, the neck is thinner.
Okay, I'm going to look this up right now. Gibson Les Paul Goddess. Let's check it out.
That began my obsession with all white guitars too. which is really funny.
Okay.
But I usually play all white guitars.
Yeah, because your Strats, I've seen you playing your Strats a white guitar, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rosewood neck or maple?
Rosewood. Yeah, it's rosewood.
I prefer rosewood myself.
I love the warmth of the rosewood.
So you have the Fender Strat, the white one, the Gibson Les Paul Goddess, and what else?
I would probably say there's this little acoustic guitar that I've had for a really long time, and it's called a Day Tripper. I believe it's an Ibanez, and it's probably the crappiest guitar though ever. The way it's built, because you just know it's from a while ago, and it probably sounds like crap, but I don't even care.
It just feels good.
It just feels so good. Yeah, like it's such a great little guitar. And what was funny was the first tour that I went on, I went with that acoustic, and I brought it around everywhere. So I would just leave it around, laying around.
You have to worry about it.
Yeah. I left it in the van, and my tour manager, literally crushed the neck where the neck snapped off completely. It was really funny, and I was like, "What? This is insane. This is like my baby." And I've only had it for like a few months then, but I was just like, oh my gosh, my little baby guitar is broke. And I remember being in the middle of nowhere searching for a Guitar Center or some sort, a music store, and looking for that exact guitar, in every city. And I finally found this guitar, which I thought I could never find. And it's in a electric, blue color, and I didn't even care. I was just like, yes, I found it. And then once I got home, I fixed it. I told my dad, I was like, Dad, I really want to fix this neck. This is like my baby. And so we had a friend of ours who fixed the neck for me.
That's good.
So now I have two little Ibanez Day Trippers.
Well, that's all right.
Yeah, it's great. I actually gave one to my little cousin, because he was young. He was probably my age when he first started out playing guitar. He was 11. He was a little younger than me. And he's like, I think I want to play guitar. I'm like, really? Well, I have a perfect guitar for you. And so I gave him my the electric blue acoustic guitar. He still has it till this day. It's awesome.
Were these tours that you were on, were you alone or you with your sisters?
I was with my sisters. Yeah, for the first few years of playing, mostly it's been with my sisters. Yeah.
Do they do other stuff outside of their work with you like you do, or they're more exclusively limited to the group Petrel?
Yeah, they do, actually. Okay. Yeah.
So all three of you have individual music careers going independent of the band you have together.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty wild.
It's been amazing.
That's really good. So that's good, because now you're all centers of influence for each other. One of your sister needs to get to this person or that person, you guys can help build. You each have your own independent networks going. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, that's great, actually. Are there any players who influence your playing that people would be surprised to hear?
I don't know if people would be surprised by it. I love Stevie Ray Vaughan. My dad was he loves his music, and he would always play it, because especially when I picked up guitar, he was just like, you should listen to this. You should, and Rock Band, no joke, Rock Band changed my world, because this is so awesome. Literally all the songs that I know from rock world in the 80s and stuff is because of Rock Band. I swear.
Rock Band.
The 70s. No, I mean, it's pretty funny. It helped me with timing, though. That game has helped me with timing. Whew. It's it was the best thing for it. It really was.
Wait a minute. Is Rock Band paying you for this endorsement?
Right? Man, is it
you got to think about this.
I'm old by saying that. Is Rock Band still even a thing?
I have no idea. If you think you sound old, you don't want me to start talking.
It's so funny.
I'm not even 100% sure I know what you mean by Rock Band. I think I do, but
it's amazing. That is incredible. But yeah, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Hendrix, obviously, John Mayer, for me, was of huge influence on because I started out with acoustic guitar on acoustic. And I think that's, me personally, I think that's the smartest thing to do, is to start out on acoustic guitar. Because I think thick strings, like I play with 11s on acoustic, and I thought it was literally the best thing ever, because once I switched over to electric, I'm like, wow, this is like smooth like butter. Like electric guitar is like, this is incredible. And plus, I think me starting out on acoustic, growing up in church, it was very rhythmic. And I think learning, obviously timing, rhythm is so important being a guitarist, because there are many guitarists that start out soloing, learning scales and all of that. And it's almost like I think it should be opposite of it. Because to me, the feeling is, it's like sitting in that beat, or like, you know what I mean? Like, it's more like feeling to me when you're like, ding, 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 like feeling it. And so, yeah, I mean, that's what I think.
Are you outgoing or shy by nature? Because you seem like you'd have to be pretty outgoing to manage all the stuff you're managing and all the social media stuff.
Yeah, I would definitely say I'm outgoing. There's no denying it. As a kid, I was shy. I was very, very shy. And I think it was because I was guarded. I was like extremely guarded, because I didn't really know. You really just have your family and you're like, what does this person want from me? Or, you kind of on guard. And so I was a bit shy when I was younger. And it really, once I moved to Los Angeles, was when, because you kind of grow into yourself. Those were my
you're on your own at that point,
high school,
too.
college years, I feel like. And I was kind of finding myself out there. And, you meet new people, you become more comfortable in your skin. So, yeah.
Cool.
I would say I'm outgoing.
Hey, tell me something about yourself people would either be surprised to hear or would find a little odd.
Wow, a little odd. Or surprised. Me being so outgoing, I actually like alone time. It's really funny. Because I kind of go into like my little cave, and I love to just create however creating, however that is. Whether it's like something I'm like making for myself, like clothes wise, because I'm just like, I like creating and getting into that headspace of just being alone. Yeah, I think people would actually be surprised to hear that.
That you like withdrawing.
Yeah. Yeah, because I am so outgoing. People find that interesting.
Do you have a non-musical superpower?
A non-musical superpower? I mean, is it even possible to have superpowers? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just saying.
Depends.
It's not possible. What is my superpower? I mean, I make a pretty mean mac and cheese.
I think every girl makes that's like your age. Yeah. My daughter makes a pretty
seriously
mean mac and cheese.
It's like the only thing I can make. I boil some pasta and like it's terrible. It's awful. Yeah, I mean, I really don't know. It's really
no. That's all good. That's all good. Do you have any hobbies or interests outside of music?
Yeah, I mean, I'm an adventurer. I love adventure. So whenever I'm home, I hang out with friends, and we kind of, especially when you're in Los Angeles, everything is outside, which I love. I love the outdoors. So I go to the beach. You go cliff jumping, which is a lot of fun. Super dangerous though. Not everyone should do it. Yeah, and I love photography, and I'm actually in school for fashion photography.
That's awesome.
A lot of people don't know.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, I've always had a passion for fashion, that's really funny. That should be a song. Passion for fashion.
Passion for fashion. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really funny. But yeah, I'm in school right now and I'm finishing up. I'm actually almost finished.
For fashion photography. That's really cool.
Fashion, yeah. For fashion design and photography.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What's a favorite place you've traveled? You've been around a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. It's hard to say favorite because everywhere is it's like completely different. I mean, even states, like when you're traveling from different states, it's like completely different worlds. I would say since my first show ever was in Mexico, and Mexico has always been so special to me because of that, plus it was really cool for us because it was actually with my sisters. That was the first show. And we always spend time in Mexico because my family does this annual trip to Mexico, humanitarian work and all that. And so I just always had a heart for the people there. So that show like completely changed my life. And every time I go back, I'm like, I want to live here. I want to live here or something. But yeah, I think my favorite place because of so many great memories and I love it so much. I love everyone there is Mexico, which is, it was about an hour out of Cancun.
So you have a lot of nostalgia there, sounds like.
Yeah, there's a lot of nostalgia.
All right. 3 more questions. Favorite and least favorite part of what you do?
My favorite part is meeting new people. Like you. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to meet you. It's true. I wouldn't have been able to meet you if it wasn't for music.
This is probably
so
true.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
Yes, we wouldn't have bumped into each other in front of the Apple store.
Yeah, it's that music brings people together, which is the best thing ever.
Very true.
Yeah, it's awesome. My least favorite of what this is funny.
Could be the same answer.
It's no sleep. I think it's the lack of sleep. It's probably my least favorite because I'm a sleeper, and functioning on like 2 hours sleep, it's pretty funny for me. I get a little loopy.
When do you have to function on 2 hours sleep? Like when does that happen a lot?
It does because I'm a person that can't fall asleep in moving vehicles. I'm telling you.
Okay.
I mean, even flights, I cannot fall asleep on flight. It's so. Yeah, it's really weird. And so everyone will be sleeping, and I'm like texting them, like, please wake up so I can talk to you.
Yeah.
Someone watch this movie with me.
I get it. Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
I'm like, what? Yeah, no, it's definitely lack of sleep for me, yeah.
Most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you on stage or in the studio?
Most embarrassing that's happened on stage. There's many moments of this. There's so many times where I'm like, what did I just say? I think the worst thing was probably saying the wrong city.
Oh my God. Yeah, that is so.
What's up? It's like your worst nightmare, I think, is that. And it happened. And it was funny because it was with my sister. And my sister's like, I think we're in blah, blah, blah. Like she actually like corrected me, but in a really funny way. Everyone was just like laughing, which was cool. We made like, still, you're like, how the heck did that just happen? Did I really just say that?
Hello, Cleveland, and you're in like Pittsburgh or something like that. Holy crap. Yeah, that's got to be wild.
Yeah, it's really funny.
I think that's the only way to get out of it. Like what your sister did. I mean, you have to sort of poke fun at yourself like that. Yeah.
Forgetting the words is definitely a funny thing too. I mean, I don't know. To me, you can make light of that. Everyone, it's like, it's kind of a whatever thing. When I was younger, I would be a lot more serious about it and be like, oh man, I just messed up. But it's really, it's not really like that embarrassing.
It's not because the numbers. If you're doing something X amount of times, you're going to screw it up once or twice.
People understand that too. So it's like, why? So. Yeah, why be embarrassed by that? Yeah. I think it's funny,
Yeah, maybe just limit your limit it to states instead of cities. Like hello, Pennsylvania instead
Yeah.
instead of.
Even when you're like, because I think I was in, well, I wasn't in Canada. It was like after I left Canada, I think I just said like a Vancouver or something. It was really random. Like it didn't even make sense because I was in America. So I'm like, how did I do that? How did that even happen? But you don't realize it. You're just on the go all the time. You really don't know where you are most of the time because you're really on the go. Yeah, it's really funny.
I've often wondered that, like, especially bands that travel all the time. And like, I've been shocked I've never heard a mistake, to be honest with you, because I don't know how you're on the go. It's almost like you don't know where you are. It's just, wash, rinse, repeat. Wow.
Yeah.
Last question. Anything you're currently trying to improve on, whether it's musically, personally, business, anything?
Oh, yeah, of course. I always, with music, practicing is key. I always try and get better with playing guitar, even songwriting. I'm always challenging myself on subjects that I don't usually, write on, or, I do want to get better. It's always about getting better. As a person, my mom is like, it's really funny. But I always try and be better as a person. That's like the key. And I think happiness is about gratitude and being thankful and grateful. And I constantly have to remind myself of that. And because I think the pressures too of like getting somewhere and doing something and perfectly, or, especially with working with so many different people, and, you put that pressure on yourself. And so what I want to try and do, is just constantly remind myself to be in the moment, stay in the moment, be present, and be thankful for where I'm at. And that calms me down. And so I've been working on that. And this past year has been mind-blowing, because that was like I think this was like the first year that I really said to myself, okay, I'm going to put less pressure on myself. because the last few years, it's like you're trying, even with trying to fit in, like, not that I was trying to fit in, but I just kept looking back and I was like, oh yeah, I was kind of like working myself too hard. And so I think for this year, like, I learned that lesson.
Yeah, you got to be kind to yourself. It's good to be kind to others, but you got to be equally kind to yourself. Yeah, a lot less pressure.
Yeah.
More forgiving, like, you said one of your the things that you
is so important too. Like, that really
What's that?
Helps me a lot. Being thankful.
Yeah, for sure.
Really helped me a lot. Yeah, it was like eye-opening because I was more present too.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you're only 26. You're thinking along those lines. That's great.
Yeah, because, you constantly worry about the future, especially when you're in music, because music is really it's not really the best. Let's be real. When you're looking at a musician's lifestyle, it's pretty difficult.
Yeah, very difficult.
It's a difficult lifestyle. And so it's hard not to think about the future of where you're going to be in the next 5 years or 10 years. So yeah, so I just said to myself, I'm like, I'm not going to worry about that because it's actually stifling me from growing and from getting better. So I told myself, I'm like, all right, I'm going to live in the present. And that really is something that my parents instilled in me at such a young age.
Yeah.
So I feel like finally, like, me growing into myself in my 20s, I'm just like, oh wow, that really does make sense. It finally clicked.
Good.
Like, it was a weird thing.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's a good level of awareness. That's cool.
Yeah, self-awareness.
Well, hey, let me tell people, I can't thank you enough for your time, Destiny. Let me tell people where they could find you online. Instagram and Facebook, Destiny Petrel. It's Destiny, like, I'm not going to spell Destiny. You know how to spell Destiny. Petrel is Petrel. Instagram and Facebook, Destiny Petrel. You can also go to petrelmusic.com, Petrel music.com. And that's where she's going to have information about the band that she fronts with her two sisters. And they're going to be releasing a 5-song EP, hopefully in the spring of 2018. Is that fair to say that?
Yes. Yeah.
And you can go to Destiny's own website at Destiny Petrel. Again, that's Petrel.net. And she also mentioned earlier the album she produced. It's an acoustic album with Jake Miller, and that's on Spotify, iTunes, and you can also find information about it on DestinyPetrel.net. Yes. Any final words of wisdom or anything I missed?
No, I mean, thank you so much for having me, Craig. You're awesome.
Welcome. Thank you.
This was a lot of fun.
I don't know about that, but thank you.
You are. This was a lot of fun. I'm so happy.
Good. I'm really happy. I'm happy for you. And I'd be interested to see, like, over the next, 2 to 3 years, where things go with your career. Maybe come back on the show in 2 or 3 years, and we could, have a chuckle and see where you are and where you are at that point in time. Yeah, I really, really like that. Cool. I like that a lot. Yeah. That would be really cool because I have no idea where I'm going to be. Neither do I. Who does? Tell me who does. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. No, who does? Listen, thank you so much for your time, and I really appreciate it. You got a lot of cool stuff going on, and I'm very optimistic about all the things you're doing, and you're juggling it and doing real well. So thank you. Thank you. Everybody, thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed this interview as much as I did. Thanks again to Destiny Petrel for spending time with us. I really appreciate it. And go to everyonelovesguitar.com. Sign up to get notified about future episodes and all the rest of the cool things we have. Now, be nice. Most important, go play your guitar and have fun. Till next time. Yes. Peace and love, and I am out. We hope you enjoyed this show. If you did, subscribe to the Everyone Loves Guitar podcast, and you can do this online at everyonelovesguitar.com or on iTunes. And if you like the show, please leave us a 5-star positive review. The more 5-star reviews we get, the higher our show ranks, and higher rankings mean we get to continue speaking with cool, interesting guests on our show. We'll see you on the next episode, and until then, keep playing your guitar and have fun making music.